What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're ready for the 1,000-hour Dreaming Spanish update. We are up to video 21 in this series. Check this out. This has been going on for over a year. If you're wondering why this is video 21 now, it's because the first video was actually me just doing a react to someone who was promoting the Dreaming Spanish method. In fact, if you guys want me to do a react to my original video from 1 year ago with, my 1,000 hours of input now, let me know down in the comments section. So, video 21, 1,000 hours. Look at this. Total input time, 1,000 hours. This bar is now disgustingly empty. Yesterday, right up to this point, it was all blue except for like a little black slither of pixels at the end there. And now I've just got this tiny little blue line. So I guess we're fucking starting again. We have just cracked into level 6. Okay, so over the last couple of weeks, I've been smashing out the input, day in, day out, watching goddamn content. Nothing special to report there, up until about yesterday, where you can see suddenly, I don't know, I just stopped doing input. Why did I stop doing input when I was at like 999 hours? Well, actually, I do know why. It's because I was doing collabs with other YouTubers. That's right. Other YouTubers have decided that they finally want to meet with me and talk with me in the real world. If you want to see one of those, I have a membership section on my channel right here. I interview Days and Words on language learning. And while I'm here, why not? I just promote it. I got a ton of Crosstalk videos where I'm playing different video games with different YouTubers in Crosstalk. Doing Crosstalk with them. They speak Spanish, I speak English. Okay, let's get back to this. So, 1,000 hours. What we're going to do is we're going to read the level 5 and the level 6 levels, okay? The reason being is because I just left level 5 and I've just entered level 6. But hang around until the end of this video, because at the end of this video, you are going to get me first doing Crosstalk with another YouTuber where we have a conversation in Spanish, okay? This is not me passively translating something I'm seeing on the screen. It will have subtitles, okay? So I will be basically having a conversation with this YouTuber about what he deems to be advanced topics, and we will see how well I understand, what words I don't understand, what words drop, etc. And you guys can determine down in the comments section how good you think my listening is after 1,000 hours. And in fact, I encourage you all, be completely honest about how good you think I am. Where am I on the Common European Framework of Reference when it comes to listening? I'm very curious to know about that. But in addition to that, I will be doing my first ever speaking session. Well, I've done it already. I've filmed it, okay? But you will be seeing it. We do speaking together. We have a, let's just say, conversation. It's me attempting to have a conversation in Spanish, okay? If you want to hear really bad Spanish, that part is definitely for you guys. Okay, so the reason I want to read level 5 and level 6 before we break off and do all that type of good stuff is because last time when we cracked into level 5, which was at 600 hours of input, and I read this and I said, yeah, guys, no, this ain't true for me. A bunch of people came down in the comments section. They said, level 5 actually doesn't represent the hours of input of 600 hours. It represents the end of the level, which is apparently, like at 1,000 or 999 hours. So you should be reading this at 999 hours as opposed to 500 or 600 hours. And I'm like, that seems iffy, but you know what? Let's play it your way. Let's do that. We're going to read this and let's see if this is true. Okay, so what you can do, you can understand people well when they speak directly to you. Well, I guess so. They won't need to adapt their speech for you. Watch my interview at the end. You will see adaptation of speech. Beyond a doubt. It happens, okay? And also, there are words I don't understand, and I ask the person I'm speaking with to use different terminology to explain that in order for me to learn. In order for me to just continue the conversation. So, even at 1,000 hours, okay, my speech still needs to be adapted for me to understand it, and I still don't know enough words in order for me to be just, to flow through a conversation. This is with me speaking English, by the way, okay? Me speaking English with someone speaking to me Spanish. Understanding a conversation between native speakers is still hard. I will be honest, I haven't really listened to too many native speakers, having a conversation beyond, just in TV shows, but that's kind of scripted, so I can't really say, but I don't really think I'm going to be able to. You'll almost understand TV programs in the language because you understand so many of the words, but they are still hard enough to leave you frustrated or bored. I don't know. I can watch dub content in Spanish now pretty good. There's still a lot of words I don't know, but I get enough of the gist that I can just power through and watch the TV show. It's not that bad, but there is, I don't get all the details. Let's just say I get the high level discussion of what's happening, some details here and there, but like not on an individual line by line basis. I don't understand everything, okay? In fact, someone asked me about this in the Discord. It was David. David, if you're watching this, he asked me, what is my understanding? Because he listens to me and he's like, you seem to have a really good advanced level of understanding, and I appreciate that, okay? But he asked me what it's like for me, my experience in my head. What's going on when I hear Spanish? I can hear all the words in a sentence and understand them all, but it's like I understand the image, the idea of the root of every word. But with Spanish, the endings of words determine their grammatical positioning and their purpose and their tense and all that type of stuff, okay? That part is a blur. I have no idea how that works, okay? So when I hear all the words in the sentence, usually context tells me whether this is in past tense, present tense, future tense, if it's someone talking to me or you're talking to someone, like I get all that like 90% of the time from context of the entire phrase, okay? And then the entire conversation on top carries a whole heap of context. So I understand the words because I understand each individual word within it. But the gluing of those words is a lot more dubious. Like, there's definitely still a lot of guessing that's happening, even though it's not intentional. I will hear something and I'll think, oh, this is what they mean. When actually, no, the grammatical markers or whatever in that actually make the sentence mean something else, but I don't know what they are. So imagine you took English and someone gave you a full sentence in English and they cut off all the grammatical parts of the sentence, like the ED at the end of the word. They cut all that off. They cut off the S. They cut off anything that is grammatical. And they gave you that full sentence. You, as a speaker of English, or even a high-level speaker, you could look at that and go, oh, I see what they're trying to ask. Because, like, it's obvious from context. But sometimes you're going to look at that and be like, wait, is this past tense or present or future? Like, I can't tell. And now it is actually important. That is my current state with Spanish, okay? I have no idea about the tense system and how it works. So, next it says, conversations can be tiresome. Now, if you're following the Dreaming Spanish method, it's not recommended that you actually speak until 1,000 hours, although you can if you want and you feel like it's good for you at 600 hours, okay? So that's when they start saying, you can. If you want to speak, speak. However, I'm at 1,000 hours. And if by conversation you mean crosstalk, that's not tiring. I've got entire series where I'm just playing games for hours with other YouTubers. Crosstalk is easy. I don't get tired. It makes no mental impact upon me whatsoever, okay? However, I did do, and you will see it at the end of this video, a conversation with a native. My head started to heat up after that, okay? Me trying to actually talk, that was different. I could feel the heat in my head start to kick in, and it reminds me exactly of every time I tried to speak a language when I learned a language via traditional methods or any other method. Like, it's the same type of process. It was hard to start speaking, okay? And if you try to speak, you can feel a bit like a child, since it will be hard to express abstract concepts and complex thoughts. This part here, I feel like does not match up with the methodology at all. However, what I think has happened with Dreaming Spanish is the major market for Dreaming Spanish is probably Americans. And most Americans studied Spanish at school, okay? But they felt like when they walked away from school that they don't understand anything about Spanish. They did 4 years or whatnot, but they can't use the language, they can't understand the language, they can't speak the language, and I get that. But then they go do 1,000 hours of input on top, and that basically grabs everything that they formerly studied and actually activates it all. And then slaps a whole heap of passive vocab on top of that. So when they do start speaking at 1,000 hours, they've got all of that they're pulling on, okay? And yeah, they're going to step away, or at 600 hours, they'll probably step away, speaking a bit like a child. Now, at 1,000 hours, with someone who's never studied this language prior to Dreaming Spanish, I can't do abstract concepts. No way in hell. I can't do complex thoughts. No way in hell. I am struggling to do the most basic of sentences. Watch the thing at the end of this video, the interview at the end of, or the collab at the end of this video. You will see that this is not true in any sense of the word, okay? For a purist, you understand most of the words used during daily conversation, but you still can't use many yourself. Well, I do understand most of the words used during daily conversation, but I can't use any myself. Well, any would be a kind of a lie. I can use some. If you try to speak the language, it will feel like you're missing many important words. However, you can often already speak with correct intonation patterns of the language without knowing why. Even make a distinction between similar sounds in the language when you say them out loud. You will hear me when I start speaking. I'll say some words and then I'll be like, I'll kind of like say it again and again because I do hear that it sounds wrong. So that part is true. But intonation patterns, I highly doubt. And when I actually watched that clip of me speaking Spanish with the native, I actually heard my own mistakes. I saw, oh man, why did you say that? That's not actually correct. You should say it like this way. So I do have some intuitive understanding of how the language actually does sound, but I'm not speaking to the level that's mentioned in level 5. And this was for 600 hours. Now, if we go to level 6, this is where shit just enters another fucking parallel universe. You can really have fun with the language at this point. You are conversationally fluent for daily purposes of living in the country. No, this is just not true in any way whatsoever, okay? I am not conversationally fluent. I am not even bubbling baby fluent. Like, yeah, I don't even know how to, like, I just cannot speak. I cannot speak. And if you follow the roadmap, you're not meant to speak until 1,000 hours, so I don't know why the expectation is that you can be conversationally fluent by this point. Unless you bring in those, like, that historical truth for most Americans who are learning Spanish via the service, they have actually used Spanish prior. They learned it before. They studied how its grammar works, and they probably practiced it to some degree. And you can get by at the bank, the hospital, the post office, looking for an apartment to rent. Maybe this will all be true by the end of level 6, which will be 1,500 hours. Maybe. After I've done a ton of speaking, but at this stage, not true at all. In spite of the odd word that is not quite there when you need it, you can always manage to get your point across in one way or another, and by now, you are already making complex phrases. This whole get your point across in one way or another, you could do this without speaking a language, you know? Like, if you go to the bank, you can be like, you grab your pockets and you're like, you know, like, you can do that fucking without a language, okay? So, like, that wording doesn't really mean much. But actually being able to speak about those topics, not true. At this level, for the first time, you start feeling like you're actually thinking about what you want to say and not about how you want to say it. And even though you may fall back on thinking about how you say things, especially in stressful situations or when feeling self-conscious, this is... I don't know who this is. Maybe this is Evildea at 1,500 hours, but it ain't Evildea at 1,000 hours, that's for sure. Using humor in the language is much easier now. You can understand TV shows about daily life quite well, 80-90%. See, this is what I don't understand. You can understand TV shows about daily life at 89%. That is true. At the 80% mark. Maybe not the 90%. But at the 80% mark, yeah, I can. So some of this is true. But anything about conversation is just complete fabrication for me. Shows about families, friends, etc. Unscripted shows will usually also be easier to understand than scripted shows. Really? I find scripted shows way easier to understand than unscripted ones. Anyway. As long as they are not too chaotic or rely too much on cultural knowledge, thrillers and other genres will still be hard. Well, funnily enough, things like thrillers and horrors and stuff like that are actually quite easy for me because that's the type of content I like to consume. So I guess maybe they mean if only you absorb Dreaming Spanish content. So maybe that's true. Okay, so what should I be doing now? Now that we understand that anything to do with conversation here is not true, and anything to do with understanding is, for the most part, actually true. So, what should I be doing now? Listen and read a lot. It's also a good time to get massive input in authentic media and be it TV, podcasts, radios, movies, etc. If you can't find a lot of easy media in the target language, you may find that videos and audios for learners are still more efficient for acquiring new vocabulary until you get a bit better. Now, what I have been doing, I just want to quickly show this, is I've done 26 hours of Crosstalk. This is probably the best form of input that you can get in any language, realistically, is when you're having a conversation and it's relevant to you in that moment, you're 100% focused. So I've already done a ton of that. If your target language has many common words with a language you already know, you may be able to understand quite well things like TED Talks and university lectures. I think that's probably true, and that's because, not my native language, but I speak Esperanto to a very high level, okay? So there's a lot of crossover between Esperanto and Spanish, so I can already understand these things. So maybe I'm actually ahead of what they recommend at this point for listening. Lots of reading is also recommended if you want to be literate and if you care about reading. You'll still want to read books that are targeted at elementary school children, although maybe you don't need to stick to the lower grades. Now, originally I asked my community in a video, should I do shadowing in Spanish? Because I personally believe shadowing now would be the smartest move, okay? So you start shadowing stuff, that way I'm literally just training my mouth, especially on content I already understand, to now replicate what I can already hear and what I can already understand. That just makes sense to me. But I am testing Dreaming Spanish, and Dreaming Spanish says nothing about shadowing. So I thought, okay, what does ALG, which is what Dreaming Spanish based on, say about shadowing? And David Long, in this video right here, he basically looked at shadowing, or the concept of shadowing, and said, why would you do that? You do not need to do that. It's not part of the method. So I asked my community, what should I do? Should I do shadowing or not? Because Dreaming Spanish says nothing about it, and ALG seems to be against it. Now, if we go down into the comment section, we can read what my community believe. If you want to prove that an ALG doesn't work, at least not the way they say, don't do it. Now, I'm not trying to prove it doesn't work. I just want to give you guys a realistic insight into what you will come away of this if you don't have a background. I don't think you should do shadowing. You are testing whether someone can learn with DS method and how long it will take, which means you should try to have a similar experience of someone just following the DS method without adding anything else in, even if it's not harmful or according to ALG. The problem with going the shadowing route is that people will think that was the reason your speaking improved and nothing new will be learned. Since it's the Dreaming Spanish challenge, you should just try outputting without shadowing. I don't usually comment, but I don't think you should do shadowing. I think it's pretty clearly goes against the spirit of the experiment. I think overall DS would say that output should emerge naturally, not that you have to drill it. If DS doesn't say anything about shadowing, I think you shouldn't do it. I think you're at the most critical part of the experiment, and shadowing would kind of ruin it, to be honest. Now, this one here, Comprehensible Mandarin, actually that's an amazing channel if you guys want to check it out. Maybe email Pablo and ask what he thinks would make for the most representative experiment. Then no one can say you didn't test the DS method fairly. So, I actually took this advice, and it's not just Comprehensible Mandarin who recommended this. So I emailed Pablo, okay? I said, hi Pablo, Evildea here. I'm at about 1K hours of listening with Dreaming Spanish, and I want to transition to speaking, reading part of the roadmap. Now, this was 6 days ago, so maybe he's traveling. He hasn't read the email yet, but I haven't got a response. I have a question. Is shadowing and or parroting permitted under the Dreaming Spanish method as a way to transition into speaking? So maybe Pablo will respond eventually, and he'll say, yes, do shadowing. Actually, I recommend it, or he will just not respond, or he will respond, say, no, don't do it, okay? But at this stage, I have no response from Pablo. And for those who are curious, how the hell do I have Pablo's email? We have communicated before regarding things that are not specific to the method, just regarding other stuff, okay? But I haven't got a response to this, so I'm going to go under the assumption that shadowing is not part of the DS method, so I'm not going to shadow. As much as I want to shadow, I'm not going to do shadowing. By this point, speaking and reading are completely unrestricted. So, you notice here, listen and read a lot is the first portion of this. This is where they talk about doing a lot of reading, and then they introduce speaking. I don't know if this is because you're meant to start with reading, then transition into speaking. But if you see my earlier videos where they have a visual of the Dreaming Spanish roadmap, okay, speaking and reading's at the same time according to that. So I'm assuming they're meant to be both at the same time. But according to the ALG method Dreaming Spanish is based upon, you actually shouldn't start reading right away. You should go to speaking, and then once you're good at speaking, then you move to reading. And the idea here is you don't want the script of the language that you're reading to actually impact your speaking abilities. You want what you've been listening to, all that input, all that time to impact it. So what I'm thinking, the healthy intermediate would be, I actually start with a lot of speaking, and then very rapidly move into reading, maybe within like 10 hours or something. Okay, that way I kind of try to, fit within the bounds of both. And it's really encouraged to make friends in the language. I've already done that. I've got multiple friends in the language. You see, I've got my collabs where I do Crosstalk videos on my channel, so I've already done that. If you live in the country, join as many social activities as you can. I don't live there. Live in a shared apartment, go to bars, join dance classes. Yeah, I can't do any of that. Set your PC, phone, and all online profiles to your target language. Make a list of daily things you do. Basically, live the language from this point on. Try speak, try read, listen to content, just go full on freaking immersion, okay? So what I'm going to be doing, because you are curious, you've asked me, okay, multiple times. What I will be doing at this point is I'm going to move heavily into speaking, straight up speaking. But I will also move into reading subtitles from videos I already fully understand. Now, I'm not going to shadow, so I'm not going to like listen to them and then repeat at the exact same time or repeat after them. I might watch the entire video and then I'll go back to the beginning of the video. I'll put it on mute and then I'll just hit play and I'll read the subtitle. Hit play and I'll read the subtitle. And that's what I'll do for the whole video. I think that's perfectly acceptable under the Dreaming Spanish method. Like, there's nothing that says you can't do that. And from what I can tell, a lot of people already kind of do that. So I don't think that's a problem. So that's what I'm planning to do. But for speaking, well, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using Worlds Across. Now, Worlds Across is a service that is super popular within the Dreaming Spanish community, okay? So let's just read it right here. Start speaking Spanish with unlimited online classes. Real-life conversations, not just grammar exercises, online classes with Spanish native tutors who adapt to your pace. So I'm basically going to be using this service every day, hopefully, speaking Spanish with actual natives, just smashing it as much as I can and hoping for the fucking best. Just YOLO this goddamn shit. If you guys are curious about pricing, I'll go hit it over here. I'm actually under the premium plan, but for those who want to know, Worlds Across is now sponsoring the series in a way. What they're doing is they're just giving me complete access to their service completely free. So I will be using their service. Just be aware of that. I do want you to know that it is being given to me for free. But I'm not being paid. So the service is given to me for free. I'm not being paid. But I was thinking about using Worlds Across anyway. So the fact that they've just given me the entire thing for free, I'm just like, okay. So that should help me a lot with the speaking side of things. But of course, I'll still be doing my collabs with the YouTubers that I love. We've got Juego con Juarez. We've got what is it, Martin from Spanish Boost Gaming, and hopefully I'll be reaching out to more creators and just basically expanding my reach as much as I can within the Spanish speaking community and making as many fucking friends as I basically can, as basically Dreaming Spanish recommends. So now comes the part you've all been waiting for. At this moment, you're basically going to see me interacting with natives using the language. Let's begin!
¿Cómo estás, Ricardo? ¿Todo bien?
Yeah, I'm good. So the plan was we were going to do some crosstalk and talk about gaming, but I guess we already started. So yeah, just hit me with some gaming stuff and like keep pushing it and making it harder and harder for me so my viewers can figure out where I fail at Spanish.
Perfecto. Ok. Estoy pensando en hacer algunas preguntas que son interesantes de responder. Y me interesan.
Okay.
Me interesa saber la respuesta. Por ejemplo, ¿cuál es el videojuego que más horas tenés dentro? ¿No? El videojuego que más jugaste en términos de horas, días, etc.
Oh, okay. That is hard because when I was a kid, that was different to when I was in my 20s. So when I was a kid, that was Perfect Dark, the game.
Oh.
I played that game with my brother every single day until the point where we hated it, but we also loved it at the same time. So it's like, we got so good at that game that there's like a co-op multiplayer mode where you verse the AI and you put the AI on like this extreme level of intelligence where they just one-shot everything, and we were beating it. That's how much we played it. And
Wow.
we burnt out the controller in our joystick. Yep. We went
Hermano.
through several joysticks in the Nintendo 64.
¿Qué es lo que más valoras de una amistad?
So what is it that I value the most of what?
De una amistad, de un amigo, de una relación
okay.
entre amigos.
It's hard to say that. I guess loyalty in a way.
Ujú.
That would be what I'd probably value the most. Because obviously if they stab you in the back, they're not very good friends.
¿Eres una persona de tener muchos amigos o pocos?
No, not many. Very,
No,
very
pocos.
few.
Ok.
Yeah.
Australia es como la versión tercer mundo de Inglaterra.
So Australia is internationally known as a first world country. It's very rich, but there are portions of Australian society that are completely broke and have no money. And I grew up in one of those portions where people were like living in caravans and,
Sí.
That was basically it. We lived in the caravan and we're in a caravan park and we had to change caravan parks like quite often otherwise, because these are like public parks. You're not meant to stay there permanently. It's meant to be for holiday makers, but anyone who's poor just gets like a poor caravan. They put them there and then eventually they throw you out. They're like, hang on, you're not actually on holiday. You're just living here. So that's basically, it's kind of like the third world of Australia.
¿Cuál es el mejor consejo que te han dado?
So what is the best something?
Consejo.
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 I can't figure out that word. I don't know what that word is.
Vale, te lo explico. Un consejo es cuando, por ejemplo, tu padre te dice, Richard, no juegues con fuego, porque te puedes quemar la mano si juegas con fuego. Eso es un consejo. Eso es un consejo.
Okay. So what was the original question again?
¿Cuál es el mejor consejo que te han dado?
Okay, so would this be one that I got from someone else or I should give away?
No, que alguien te ha dado a ti.
Okay, the best one. Maybe just don't listen to others. Do what you want to do with like your life. That would be maybe the best.
Suena bien. ¿Y quién te dio ese consejo?
Okay. Plan for the future, but don't expect that your plans will actually be fulfilled. That would be what I would give.
Ok, pero ¿quién te dio el primer consejo?
That was my dad.
Sí. ¿Quién? ¿Tu padre?
Yep.
Ok. ¿Y tu consejo sería cuál? ¿Qué consejo darías tú?
So if I had like a kid or something, I would say, try to plan for the future, try to make plans, but understand that, plans usually fall apart, but at least try to plan. That way you don't end up in a place in life where you're like, how did I get here?
Es buen consejo, tío. Es un buen consejo.
1000 horas en español, Evildea. Necesito, hacer la pregunta. La pregunta que todos quieren saber. ¿Sos oficialmente un hiperpolíglota?
I don't even claim Spanish as a language I speak because, well, we're about to find out. I don't speak it yet. So like, I don't even claim Spanish. Like, realistically, if anyone asks, I say I'm fluent in Esperanto. And yesterday, I did a collab with another YouTuber. I met up with her. She speaks Chinese fluently. And like, I had a conversation in Chinese pretty much most of the day with her. So I feel like I can claim Chinese at least, at a conversational level now. So that's the only languages I claim.
Una cosa que no te he preguntado, Richard, es si quieres que corrija un poquito o no corrija nada.
Well, the pure ALGers in the chat would be like, no, don't correct him. But like, realistically, I think it's fine because even in children, they correct a little bit, as long as it's in Spanish.
Sí,
yo using Spanish.
Yo corrijo a mis hijas todos los días con su lenguaje y creo que es la mejor forma de aprender y de que no cometan errores continuamente. Vale.
And I think under ALG, it's as long as it's in the context of you say it like this rather than explaining the rules. You just kind of say it. Yeah.
Ok, ok.
It's like, yeah, you wouldn't go to, so in ALG, you wouldn't go to your kid. No, you got to use the first person pronoun with this, you just tell them how to say it.
¿Cuál es la mejor serie de Martin Crack?
La mejor serie de Martin Crack es Obid.
Bien.
Forgotten.
Muy cerca. Yo olvidé. Well, that's pasado. Olvidé.
Obide. Es nombre.
Ok.
Yeah, it's the one with the zombies in it. And la. Y la. God. All these words are right on the edge of my brain, but I just can't pull them. Okay, Shamo Evildea. Sure quieres jugar juego con tú?
¿Contigo? Ajá.
¿Contigo? Okay. Yeah.
Sí, bien.
That's,
Muy bien.
Muchas gracias por o para tu ayuda.
Sí, muy bien.
No idea if that's working. I have no idea what else to say. Yo quiero jugar FPS. Yo pensé.
Ok.
Zombie. Yo pensé. Yeah, I don't know how to say. I don't even know how to say zombie.
Depende. Puedes decir zombie o zombie.
Zombie?
Yeah, o zombie. Sí. Depende la.
Okay. Yeah. This is interesting. I seem to be even doing worse with gaming terminology than just with normal words outside of gaming. I thought I'd do better with gaming.
¿Cuál es tu color favorito?
Verde. I think.
¿Verde? ¿Como este? ¿Verde?
Yeah. Yes. Sí.
Verde, sí.
Verde. Hijo de puta, I've forgotten everything.
Recordaste lo más
I don't even know how to
importante.
say the word
al menos. Recordaste la
Puta
frase.
madre. Ay, más balas.
Vocabulario de. Vocabulario de criminal. Vocabulario de tiroteo escolar.
Yes.
Dios.
It's like everything is, as soon as you say it, I know it, but everything's just not there at my disposal. Nothing.
¿Qué me puedes contar de tu familia? ¿Cuántos sois en tu familia?
Yo familia tienes tú not hijas, it's brothers. I forgot what brothers is.
¿Dos hermanos?
Oh, dos. I'm saying Esperanto there. Dos hermanos. Yes, dos hermanos. Mum and dad. I don't know these words. When I hear them, I know them.
Papá y mamá.
Yeah, papá y
O un
mamá.
padre y una
Yeah.
madre. Ok.
Yeah, padre, madre. Madre. Yep.
Yo quiero hablar
Ok.
español.
Probablemente es un tema de nervios, de entrenar, de calentar. Entonces,
No, I don't think so. It's like, have you ever had in your language where you want to say a word, you know the word you want to say, but it's like it's on the tip of your tongue,
sí.
but you have no idea what it is until someone says it. And when they say it, you're like, yes, that's what.
Total. Sí, sí, sí.
It's like that for the whole language. The whole language.
Yo tienes dos gatos.
Ok. Ok.
Oh, tres gatos. Tres gatos.
Ok. ¿Y son gatos de raza? ¿Tienen alguna raza? ¿Son siameses, persas? ¿O son gatos callejeros, gatos de la calle?
Dos gatos son de caer.
¿De la calle?
Yeah. Unos gatos son forgot the English word for it. What is its breed?
Sí.
It's a
Decimos
I know
raza.
the Chinese word's now popping into my head. It's bull, which is a ragdoll.
Ok, un ragdoll. Ok.
Yeah. My brain is just like suddenly different languages.
4 idiomas. Intentar manejar 4 idiomas tiene que ser muy difícil.
It's a mess up there. Wow, I'm actually surprised that I was even able to say that, in all honesty. I thought I would say nothing.
No, muy bien, tío.
Okay.
Muy bien.
Okay, so we're now at the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my current Spanish level down in the comment section below. And finally, I want to say, if you actually support, what I'm doing, giving you guys a realistic insight into what you can expect from these types of services, not just Dreaming Spanish, but also LingoPie, because I have a challenge on this channel where I'm learning Chinese via the LingoPie service. Please become a member of the channel. It helps a lot. You would be surprised. And I guess that's pretty much it. I'll see you all in the next video. And if you're not there, well, that's your loss at this point. Yeah, I'm sick of threatening you. It's your loss, bro. You weren't really a friend anyway. Fuck you.
You saw that, Darwin? That was the worst Spanish I ever heard. Are you sleeping? Yeah, me too. Boring.